sponsor was close by, but Cap was in contention for the AFCS points, so they kind of just got a wild plan together to get 2 cars at 2 tracks on the same night.
Do you anticipate maybe doing a little bit more of that next year if the opportunity arises?
I would love to, and that worked out sort of perfect because the 71H team that I've been driving for the last 2 years, we broke all the 410 motors, so we weren't going to be able to run that all-star race as it was. So yeah, the timing with the lanes worked out perfect. But yeah, they were awesome to get along with. I would be happy to drive their car if they ever needed it again.
Are there any more plans to maybe make some trips to Ohio this year, or maybe even do some more Ohio racing next year?
I don't think we're going to make it down anymore this year. Just there's a lot of wedding stuff going on, which is cutting into racing plans. But the Steve Smith, the guy that owns the 71H, he's last time we talked about what we might do next year, he mentioned trying to make it to Attica quite a few more times.
Definitely. I feel like if a driver can run like Attica or Fremont, I definitely think it makes them a better driver. I mean, and that's not like a dig on Michigan drivers or anything, but I definitely feel like that can definitely help a driver.
Oh, I agree 100%. Just because if you look at when the All-Stars or Outlaws come around, all of the local Fremont Attica guys are so competitive that it has to translate over that they're going to make anyone that races with them better.
I was talking to Jacob about you're getting into some sprint car designs and stickering. How did that come about?
I guess it came about, I was always real interested in how the race cars looked and their paint jobs and stuff. And then when the old NASCAR games came about where you could design your own paint schemes, I was super into that. But I never thought it was something that somebody could make a career out of. But I sort of fell into vinyl wrap stuff and then realized that there were people actually out there that were looking to pay money to get race cars designed and stickered. So I'm slowly creeping into that career.
Did you design your I want to say it was like the tropical or the Hawaiian theme car?
Yes, I did make that. It was actually my dad's idea because I got this vinyl printer and he was pretty insistent that I needed to show how wild of designs that thing could print. So he said we needed a Yorkie surfing on a wave across the car and made it happen.
Are there any shirts with that car on it or no?
No, unfortunately not. But the first time we took it to a race was the ASCS race, and we ran well. So people did actually ask about it, but the planning wasn't very good. We were still putting stickers on the day of the race when I was hoping to be on the road, actually.
How would you say that the tracks in Ohio and Michigan compare or contrast?
I would say that most of the Ohio tracks are faster almost all the time. I don't know if it's that Michigan has more sand or what, but the Ohio dirt, it sticks to my tear-offs more. It rolls up a cushion more, and cars do more wheelies. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's the Michigan stuff. You can almost always expect it to slick off super early in the night.
Well, Ryan, we definitely appreciate you taking the time out to join us on the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast. And we definitely wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. Where can we find you the rest of the season?
The plans for the rest of the year are Plymouth for the 360 versus 410 race in a week or two. And then there is a Great Lakes Super Sprints race October 12th, I believe. And I think that will round out the year.
All right. So for our listeners in Ohio and in Michigan, if you want to go see Ryan Ruhl race, you can go see him in a week or two at the Plymouth Speedway and then at I-96. So, Ryan, we definitely appreciate you jumping on and being our first Michigan driver on the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast.
And it's an honor. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
So again, we thank Ryan for joining us on the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast. And again, definitely look out for Ryan, maybe making some more Ohio appearances next year. And we're going to roll into what we saw over the weekend. Derrick, you went to Butler Motor Speedway. You made the just long 5-minute drive from your house to the battlegrounds, and you got to see some Ohio regulars race.
I did. So I made the trip out to Butler. They had a little bit of an increased purse. They also had a dash for cash and some lap sponsors where guys who led a lap got $20 for every lap they led. So it ended up being a pretty good payday. We had 19 cars in the sprint division. There were actually 97 cars total, 37 modifieds, I believe, and a couple pretty big names in that as well. But we had Max Stambaugh. It was pretty funny. The heats, it was kind of a surprise. Chad Blond showed up to Butler, and he did not qualify for the dash out of his heat, and neither did Chris Andrews, who was making an appearance in the Ken Mackey and Dwayne Mackey 25M. That car is obviously out of Michigan, and they decided to come up with Chris. So neither Chad Blond nor Chris Andrews made the dash, which was kind of crazy because those were the two guys I was kind of expecting to be the top contenders. Thomas Schinderly looked really good in his heatlet race and won. And then we had, I thought it was Garrett Saunders in the Greg Wheeler 16C, and he made it into the dash and then won the dash, and come to find out it was actually Max Stambaugh, who drove that car last year when it was the Home Pro Roofing 51. And Max actually won this same race last year. It's the John C. Reeve Memorial. So Max Stambaugh ended up starting on the pole of the feature, and he led the entire race and won. Thomas Schinderly and Quentin Blond had a pretty good battle going for second place. Blond actually got around him, and Schinderly drove in pretty hard into turn 1 and 2 and unfortunately slipped and took out Quentin as well. Chad Blond inherited second place, and he made it a little bit closer with Max, who was pretty much running away the first half. And then Chris Andrews ended up third. So of the top three, we had two Ohio regulars with Max Stambaugh and Chris Andrews and Chad Blond, who's obviously a real good driver up here in Michigan. So it was a pretty solid class of sprints. It was the last 410 sprint race in Michigan for the year, so I was pretty excited to get out there.
It sounds like you definitely saw a really good race. I wasn't terribly far, I wouldn't say, from Butler Speedway on Friday night, though. Friday night, I went to the Fremont Speedway for the Attica Fremont Championship Series AFCS finale. We had a really tight points battle going into that. DJ Foose had a 2-point lead or 3-point lead going into the final race over Buddy Kofoid. And it was actually Nate Dussel who led quite a bit of that race, or at least the first probably half of that race. Nate Dussel led before DJ, who had slipped back to fifth on the start, had worked his way back up and passed him. And instead of all these weird scenarios of, if DJ finishes where would Buddy have to finish to win, or vice versa, DJ just made it easy on all of us and went out and won the race and won the inaugural AFCS Championship Series worth a cool $10,000 over Buddy Kofoid. So we definitely saw a really good race there on a real slick and smooth Fremont Speedway. It was, trying to think, in the 305 division, the AFCS points were being wrapped up there. That one was wrapped up as soon as Jamie Miller took the green flag in his heat. So Jamie ended up finishing like 5th in the feature, and John Ivey won the 305 feature, which was his 60th win of the year, or not of the year, but in his career at Fremont Speedway. And that puts him up in, I think, 3rd place all time on Fremont's win list. And I need to make note of Nate Dussel. He had obviously a really good run. He ended up finishing 2nd in the feature, and he's really been gaining a lot of momentum this year, getting a lot of good runs. But Nate went out and won Heat 1, and then on his cool-down lap in turns 3 and 4, he lost control and actually flipped and did some damage to the car. But Nate did showed some real class, I would say. And Fremont Speedway does this thing where they choose some kids from the stands, and after each heat race in a certain division, the kids get to come down and get their picture taken with the heat race winner and get a trophy. Instead of immediately pushing the car back to the pits to get the work started on the car, Nate decided to pull up on the front stretch and make sure the kid got his picture and got his trophy. And that was something that was definitely really, really cool to see. So I wanted to make note of that Nate, hopefully he sold some extra shirts that night. So if you ever see Nate Dussel in the pits, he's super cool to talk to. And definitely buy a shirt, buy a hoodie, support that team any way you can, just because he made sure that little fan is going to be a fan for life. And then we had the World 100 as well this weekend. I didn't see a lot from it. Obviously, I'm not a late model guy, but it was cool seeing Jonathan Davenport take the victory there. It seemed like a really good battle between him and Bobby Pierce, and I think Ricky Wiesen was up there. So it was cool seeing them do really well, and then obviously Jonathan took that to victory lane for, I think that was his 3rd World 100 victory. So, and then that was really all the big action in Ohio this past weekend. And then looking forward to this weekend, the All-Stars take center stage Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the high banks of Atomic Speedway for the 2nd annual Dean Niddle Memorial. We got to talk to Jeff Niddle a little bit through Twitter. It would be Dean's son. And he's been putting a lot of work into this event. I think he has over like 200 sponsors for this race, just adding money everywhere. So Thursday being a makeup show, I believe, the regular $5,000 to win. Friday being $5,054 to win, and Saturday, I believe, is $12,554 to win. So that is over $22,000 just if someone wins all three. And like I said, there is like heat race money to be won, dash money to be won. If you're quickest qualifier, you're going to win money. If you make the longest tow, you're going to make money. So it seems like the place to be on this weekend is going to be Atomic Speedway, but we also have on Saturday night Fremont Speedway running their normal 410, 305, and dirt truck program. That'll be their season championship night. We have another tight points battle between DJ Foose and Buddy Kofoid going into that last race. I think Buddy has a 9-point lead over DJ Foose. So that one, like the AFCS title, will probably come down to the last lap. The 305 division, I can't remember who is on top of that, but I know that one is probably another 20. I think whoever's leading that is leading by about 20 points. So, Derek, what all do you have going on in Michigan the rest of the season?
So Sprint on Dirt, which is a Michigan-based series, and Great Lakes Super Sprints are both kind of wrapping up their season. They are kind of in